It's 11 minutes past 7. The United Nations top health official has warned that the global swine flu pandemic is now unstoppable. And it seems, though, many of us starting to take matters into our own hands. Increasing numbers of people buying antiviral drugs, or what they think are antiviral drugs, over the internet without a prescription.
Yes, Tamiflu is on the verge of overtaking Viagra as the most commonly offered drug in junk emails. But the Royal Pharmaceutical Society is warning many of the drugs on offer online are actually fake. Let's talk about this with Dr. Sarah Jarvis, who is a GP, and David Pruce is from the Royal Pharmaceutical Society. Very good morning to you. How do you know, David, that they're fake?
Well, we don't know for sure, but what we've done is tests on Viagra that's sold over the internet, and over half of that is fake. So we would expect that as we're seeing millions of spam emails now coming out about Tamiflu, that most of it will be fake.
So that's a pure extrapolation then. I mean, you haven't done actually any tests to order the stuff and check whether what people are buying online is the real Tamiflu or not?
We haven't, but we know from experience that with Viagra, with a lot of the other drugs that are for sale over the internet, particularly on these unsolicited spam mails, that most of that is going to be fake or of poor quality.
There isn't enough Tamiflu out there for all these spam mails to be coming through, quite frankly. And the worst thing, I think, is not just that it can be fake, so, you know, at worst it's going to harm just your pocket. It's the fact that there can be some really quite nasty stuff in the Viagra we've found in the past.
OK, well, tell us about Tamiflu, Sarah, because people are very concerned. They do, obviously, by the fact that people are using these online sites, they're trying to get their hands on it. If you take Tamiflu but you're not suffering, what are the consequences?
Well, on the whole, it's pretty well tolerated, but, you know, all medicines have got side effects. Paracetamol's got side effects. It can cause nausea, diarrhoea, tummy pain, dizziness, headaches. It can make you feel a bit like you've got flu.
And is there a danger that any sort of resistance could be built up?
That's a real concern, actually. There hasn't been any sign of resistance in the UK, but there have been a few reports of people developing resistance elsewhere. And if far too many of us take it, it makes it much, much more likely that a resistant strain is going to come out.
Just remind us, what does Tamiflu actually do for you anyway?
All it's going to do is stop the progression of the disease.
So it puts the brakes on it, in effect, is it?
Effectively, it puts the brakes on it. It doesn't cure, but it stops the symptoms being quite so bad, and possibly the duration of the time you're going to be ill is reduced slightly.
And so, if people are desperate enough to use an online site and risk getting a fake, what would you say to them?
Don't.
But I mean, is there you say that, you know, there isn't enough Tamiflu for it to go onto online sites. Is there enough Tamiflu for everybody? We now know 100,000 people a day are going to be
Well, we
diagnosed.
have got huge amounts of Tamiflu stock. The UK government, I have to say, I think, as a working GP, I have been extremely impressed at the way the Department of Health and our local agencies in particular have stepped up and got ready with this. They have stockpiled enormous amounts, and there's enough for a third or half of the population.
Yeah, right. Just remind us then what you should do if you wake up this morning and you think you might have it.
Well, there's a really easy test. Do you feel so ill that if you were walking down the street and you noticed somebody had dropped a £50 note, do you feel well enough to pick it up? If you don't, it might be flu, it might be swine flu. If not, it probably isn't if you're well enough.
You'd have to be really ill.
Yeah, you have to be really ill. High temperature, above 38 at least, and staying that way, and at least 2 flu-like symptoms: sore throat,
and
headache, eyeballs ache, muscles ache, limbs ache, everything hurts.
Okay, and what's the advice then? What do you do?
Do not go and see your GP. Is the answer. Absolutely do not go and see your GP. We now have all sorts of centres. We're trying to keep GP surgeries as so-called flu-free zones so that other people won't catch it. We're trying to delay the spread. So phone your GP, there'll be a message on their answer service, or go to NHS Direct.
Sorry, but what's the point of phoning your GP?
They'll give you the number. Well, what will happen is they will put you through, they'll tell you what to do. Usually what we're doing is, I was duty doctor yesterday morning, I took about 7 calls, of whom 2 I thought had real swine flu, and I got their flu friend to go to the flu centre, and I sent a prescription over there. The flu friend collected a prescription for them.
OK. All right. Thank you very much indeed, Dr. Sarah Jarvis, for that advice, and thank you as well, David Pruce from the Royal Pharmaceutical Society.